So let us discuss automatic theorem proving. It is given by the scientist, mathematician Ho Wang. So basically, this method we use for proving logical inference, and we know that earlier also we discussed in the earlier videos. So let's say set of premises followed by a conclusion is given, and if we want to derive that, there are many methods. The first one is direct method. Then second one is direct method using CP, and the third one is indirect method. Okay, and these three are we discussed in the earlier videos, and the fourth method is this automatic theorem. So the main difference between this method when compared to the earlier three methods is, so earlier three methods requires some kind of skill, puzzle solving skill. Okay, so because in the earlier methods we don't know which premise we need to apply, which inference rule. It's something like absolutely it is something like a solving a puzzle. Whereas here the word is very clear. It is automatic. That means there are some rules. You apply the rules, then you get the solution. Okay. Most interesting when compared to the remaining, but only thing is that it has its own terminology. It has its own set of rules. Okay. So we have to remember all those rules. Then only we can apply this. Okay. So we don't means a person can need not be expertise. Okay, simply apply the inference rules and automatically he can get it. It's not like puzzle. So that is the point you should understand. Whereas earlier methods they are like puzzles. Okay, so we should think of different alternatives to derive. Okay, so earlier methods are like puzzle solving, but whereas this method doesn't require any such kind of thing. So let us see the terminology quickly. Pertaining to this automatic theorem proving. So variables, of course, earlier we call as a propositions. Now propositions we are calling as a variables. So we use the letters, capital letters A, B, C, and P, Q, R, or any letters we use for the variables. Okay. Then different connectives we use are like and implies, by implies, or negation, and so on. Okay. Anyhow, negation is the highest precedence operator, and followed by the remaining operators. Then the third point is string of formulas. A string of formulas is defined as any formula is a string of formula, like any proportional function in our earlier context. So any formula is a string of formula. Then if alpha and beta are two string of formulas, then alpha comma beta or beta comma alpha are also string of formulas. Okay, or even empty string is also a string of formula. Okay, so that means what is the meaning of alpha comma beta, beta comma alpha? That means let us say A comma B comma C is a string of formulas. Okay, why? Because here A is a formula, B is a formula, and C is a formula. Then if we separate with the comma, they are called string of formulas. So it doesn't matter the order. So A comma B comma C is same as even B comma C comma A, or even same as C comma A comma B. So we can write in any order. Still, the string of formula is same. Okay, so formulas if we separate with the comma, then we call them as string of formulas. So the next term is sequent. Okay, now suppose if alpha and beta are string of formulas, then we write as alpha to beta as a sequent. Okay, alpha to beta sequent, where alpha is called as antecedent, and of course beta is a consequent. So it's normal terminal. Even the P implies Q, normal P implies Q also. P is called antecedent and Q is called consequent. So sequent is of the form alpha to beta. What is this alpha beta? Alpha beta are not the proportional functions. They are a string of formulas. Alpha and beta are the string of formulas. So in that case, alpha is called antecedent and beta is called consequent. Now let us see what is this concept of sequent. It's almost all looking like an implication. Let us see what is sequent. So a sequent alpha to beta, where alpha and beta are string of formulas, is true if either at least one of the formulas of the antecedent is false, or at least one of the formulas the consequent is true. Okay, so let's understand this with an example. For example, let us say this is a sequence A comma B comma C sequent to D comma E comma F. So please make a note here. This is one string of formula, which is something like we are calling as alpha, and this is another string of formula. Why? Because there are three formulas separated with the comma. Okay. Now, so this is sequent. Earlier implication means we don't have left side, right side. It will be the proportion functions. So that is the difference. Okay. So even let's something like P and Q, let's say implies something like negation of R, R S. So we write implication something like this, right? Then left hand side is a proportional function, right hand side is a proportional function. Whereas sequent is what? Sequent, left hand side is a string of formula, right hand side is also a string of formula. What is the string of formula? The variables will be separated with a comma, any number of variables. So they are called string of formulas. Now, when this is true, so this is true, this sequent is true if this is true. That means we are expressing the sequent equivalent to implication form. So we say this sequent is true if this implication is true. So when this implication is true, if you observe carefully, we know that implication, please understand, implication, when this is true, there are two cases. If P is false, then irrespective of the Q value, this will be always true. Please recollect. Similarly, if Q is true, then irrespective of this P, this P implies Q is true. So this point we already discussed in earlier videos. Now see, when this particular implication is true, so this is true only when one of the formula in this consequent is false. Okay, that means suppose if A is false, then complete thing is false. So in P implies Q, if P is false, obviously it is true. So therefore, so that is the meaning of this. If either at least one of the formulas of antecedent is false. So this is antecedent A comma B comma C. So in that one of the formula is false. Why? Because this is an equivalent expression for this sequence. So A and B and C, if one of proposition is false, then the complete thing will be true. Or in D, E, F, if at least one is true. Why? Because this is the equivalent expression. If one is true, so this complete thing is true. So therefore, the complete expression will be the true. Okay. So for this sequent, this is equivalent implication form. Okay, hope you understand the difference between sequent and the implication. Sequent, left hand side is a string of formula, right hand side is a string of formula. Whereas for the implication, left hand side is a proportion or proportional function, right hand side is a proportion or proportional function. And for this sequent, this is the equivalent implication. So we say this is true when this is true. Okay. Then next one is logical sequence. What is the difference between logical sequence and sequence? So we say that alpha is logically sequent to beta if alpha to beta is true. So if this is true, then we call this as a logical sequence. Okay. Now let us see some more terms. Yeah, next one is axiom. So what is an axiom? So a sequent alpha to beta is said to be axiom. A sequent alpha to beta is said to be axiom if alpha and beta have at least one common variable. It's very simple. So sequent is something like alpha to beta form, where alpha is a string of formula, beta is a string of formula, right? Now when I can call that sequent as axiom means, suppose if you take here the first sequent ABC sequent to PQB. Now this sequent I can call as axiom. Why? Because if you observe carefully, there is a common variable B. Okay, so that is the meaning of the definition. A sequent alpha to beta is an axiom if between this alpha and beta, if at least there is one common variable, then we can call that sequent as axiom. And let me give another example. Suppose if we take this ABC sequent to PQR, so this sequent I cannot call it as axiom. Why? Why? Because there is no common variable, right? Between these two alpha and beta, there is no common variable. So this is all about what is an axiom. Okay. So I can call a sequent as axiom. Okay, I can call a sequent alpha to beta an axiom if there is a common variable, at least one common variable between this alpha and beta. Okay. Next, theorem. Theorem. So basically, what is theorem means? Every axiom we call as a theorem. Just now we discussed what is an axiom. Okay. So every axiom is a theorem. Then second point, please see. If alpha is a theorem, and beta is derived from alpha. Okay, if beta is derived from alpha by applying the following 10 rules, we'll be discussing 10 rules in the next video. So by applying 10 rules, so these rules are called there are 5 antecedent rules and 5 consequent rules. So if alpha is a theorem, then I derived beta from alpha by applying all these 10 rules or some of the 10 rules, then we call beta is also a theorem. The theorem means what? It is proved. Okay. So if alpha is a theorem and beta is derived from alpha by applying 10 rules are there that we are going to discuss in the next video. Then we call the beta is also a theorem. And as the last point, we are ensuring the sequence obtained by step A and step B are only the theorems. There is no any other way to get the theorems. Okay, all axioms are theorems. Or from axiom you apply the inference rule, you apply the rules, antecedent and consequent rules. You get another expression beta. Then beta is also theorem. Okay, and now in the next video we see what are all these rules. Okay, so this is the basic terminology regarding automatic theorem proving. So please before going to the next video, please go through thoroughly about all this terminology so that it will be comfortable for the next video. Thank you.